doing a 8-foot by 16-foot paper backdrop for a children's camp, and the theme is going to be archaeology. So I'm going to start out with a skyline, and then I'm going to afterwards do the, I always start out with the skyline, the sky otherwise, and then I do the mountain ranges and then the details later. So first thing I do is block out the sky. So I mix just the sky blue, roll it on. Thing about working with paper and house paints is that it does soak in. It soaks in fast and dries fast. So you kind of have to work fast. So you can't, then you have to think fast. Work fast, think fast. So I'm going to lay down the, because what I like to do is get the, the graduation from blue down to white. You know how that looks for the horizon. I like doing that just because it looks, because it makes it look a little more realistic than just, painting the robin's egg blue all the way across, and there you go, dabba dabba doo. Got to mix the right amount of paint too. I'm already getting pretty low. I'm noticing this is a pretty big canvas. Canvas meaning that area to paint, not the actual material. That did say it was paper. So I'm just gonna lay this down, kind of eyeballing, making sure I don't have too much sky, but not enough. And just burn up this light blue. That's just a good idea to keep just enough for a little bit of touch up. In case something happens, you might spill something on it, and then you have this other color that you need to match. So I might just have a little cap full of this blue as a backup plan. Okay, that's the blue. That went on quick. Now I'm going to take some white, and this is just the water-based white. Put it like this. Just big old 5-gallon. It has actually about 2 in it. Now I gotta hurry up because I gotta get the white down because this stuff's gonna start drying pretty fast. So now what I'm gonna do is kind of mess up this white, aren't I? So I need a bucket of white. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna run this down below a little bit. It's at my halfway point because it's a 4 feet. Oh boy, I got it on my carpet. It's 2 4-foot sheets taped in the back. 4 48-inch wide butcher paper. I'm gonna have a tough time getting to that, aren't I? This is, I'm gonna hop up on there. I'm just winging this, as you can tell. And it doesn't matter. It's just a backdrop. But are you still there? Yes, you still are there. Alright, let's get the white down real quick. Get all this white down, nice and thick. This will dry fast. I'm gonna go ahead and fill that crack, that void in there, where the tape is. This, so it has another layer of paint in there. Get this guy all the way down. And I won't blend in there yet until I get it all the way saturated all the way down. Yep, got my boots up here. That's awesome. And I'm just gonna run this all the way down. All right, now let's start blending. So here we go. All the way down. See, the paper's already wrinkling. It's so saturated with paint. That's the bummer about paper, but on the other hand, it's the cheapest product you can use. So we're just gonna keep going back and forth like that. Just kind of blend it in. I don't want to put this roller back in the paint bucket because I want to be able to have nice pure white primer for whatever next thing I need. And this doesn't have to look perfect. We're just kind of blending it in. But you can see you can't mess around. You gotta do it. You gotta go fast. It's already starting to dry up. It's like a little workout. Like a little workout. I see there's some blue up there, highlights. You see the missing places up there? If you get a drop on the carpet, Do not try to mop it up. Just wait till it dries completely and you can flick it off and cut it out. It's way better than trying to deal with it. So I'm going to pull on the paper a little bit because it's really saturated. You can see it's getting really wrinkled. I did tape all four corners to try to alleviate that, but that's called the best you can do. And I'm going to go ahead and hit some of these holidays real quick. Bada boom, bada boom, bada boom. Bada boom, bada boom. Like that, like that, like that, like that, like that. That looks pretty. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the blue and I'm going to run it. So I'm going to start from the middle, work my way out. Because the paper's really wrinkled. Again, like I said, this is not ideal. The ideal medium for substrate, but we need to get something that's really super economical, and paper is actually the most economical. Other than projection, video projection, but this is going to be in a hard copy environment, so no projection available. So there we go. I mean, that ain't good. That ain't good. I'll kind of blend it a little bit. Good. That gives us our sky right there. So that's okay. We have dry enough, and it's now time for Purple Mountain's Majesty. So I just mixed up some purple. This is a lot of paint that I've had from past murals, so I just have a lot of stock. So I just kind of mix things as I go. So I'm just gonna, and this is that blue, sky blue, so I'm saving a roller by just mixing it with it. And all I'm gonna do is just delineate some furthest background mountains. And these don't have to be very tall either. So I'm just gonna kind of say, I'm just gonna go a little over half, so I keep the horizon there. A little bit over half. I'm gonna create like a valley, so I'm gonna come over here like this. It's like that. I mean, it just doesn't have to be. You know, I still got that nice white gradient there, so it's gonna look good. This obviously you can just blend it in. That doesn't have to be. Boy, this paper's really wrinkling out. And then I'm gonna come in with darker earth tones off of this. So that's all there is to that. You got that far distant, you got those far distant mountains that look really cool like that. See, let's get a little more purple down here just in case. I will probably go up here with the earth tones. But I always like to go a little further down just to make sure I don't decide to do something different. So I got a big wrinkle right there. Wrinkles are bad. I don't have any painting. Let me see. Make sure. Oh yeah. Pull that. Good. Good. Oops. There we go. It's kind of a lot more sky than I want, so I'm going to bring these up here. I didn't want that much sky because I want to put more detail in here later. Let's kill some of the sky. Whoa! Sketchy scaffolding. Okay, just nice rolling hills, kind of a valley. It's supposed to be in the kind of Middle East. So I'm kind of keeping it. That's a high mountain over there. That's all right. Go down there and touch that up. Here, like that. All right, time for the earth tone, and I'm using the same white roller pad cover that had the white in it for the blend, saving roller covers, and then this is just some stock earth tone that I have, And when I'm ready to do the detail work, I'm gonna go ahead and add black and white to this color to get my highlights and my lowlights. So all this is just a super quick roll on. Just gonna do some rolling hills and do detail later. So it doesn't matter, the white's gonna just immerse into it. And just go for it. Fast. We'll just do kind of rolling hill, maybe a little this kind of stuff, just to kind of give it a little character, a little more interest in animation. I'll come back and kind of see what I need to fill in. Choppy, maybe make it a little choppy, just for interest. If you're really cool, you'll do another gradient of this, so it'd be this lighter color back there, and kind of do a same gradient like the sky, where this is lighter, and then this is the actual color. So it's like a gradient. It's kind of like the same thing with this distant mountain look, the purple distant mountain look. But since I'm going to be putting a lot of archaeological digs detail in this, I'm not going down that road. So let's just lay this stuff on. And you notice I go, oh, you don't notice because you can't see it. I went past, so I left paper hanging off my table, because I'm going to come back and I'm going to cut it. It just looks a lot more cleaner if you do it that way. So if you get streaks, try to keep them in that direction that looks natural, like the hillside. Using a brush is the last resort in these kind of projects. I use a roller all the way to the point where I can't use a roller anymore, and then I get to a brush. This is just a lot faster. I'll do trees with rollers. I'll do anything with a roller. Come back and hit the holidays, they'll pop up pretty quick. All right, I'm gonna let that thoroughly dry, the whole background, before I move on to detailing out the archaeological sites. Because it's just a lot easier to come back and draw it on that than damp paint. Obviously I can't do it on soaking wet like it is right now. And that'll flatten out, and things will flatten out. The latex is gonna be more substantial than the paper when it's all said and done. And it's gonna make it a pretty rigid backdrop once it's all dried and done. I got my reference for the archaeological dig areas, my brushes. I got the background color, and I've got a dark version of it and a light version of it, and then I've got an oddball mix of tan for other accents. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with the light, and I'm just going to create this kind of grid look, because all we're trying to do right now is block in a archaeological dig. It looks something like this. This was nice about this. It's rough, so there's no real precise extreme lines. You can just kind of block it in like that, and plus I'll outline, so that'll also clean things up too. So it's just kind of like walls and bricks and blocks, you know, where there's levels in the dig, like that. With perspective action. And this is all it is, just kind of blocking it in. I realize that I have some Tyvek too, which is also a great backdrop, a great material to use for painting on. You can use Tyvek. I have a 9-foot tall roll you just buy it at the Box Store, and you can get either like 3 foot, 9 foot, 4 foot, things like that for doing banners and such. But for backdrops, you get the 9 foot. It's great. This is going to be indoors, so don't have to really use that. They can just throw it away, and you're not throwing away a bunch of Tyvek. So it's kind of my thinking of this. And a little drip of paint. Where did that come from? Oh, I got white on the side. Okay, now I've blocked in the lighter colors, the highlights, which is all the top lighting. Now I'm going to do the sides of the walls. And what I do is I pick a light source direction, where in this case it's going to be, let's put this up a little bit. In this case, I by default pick upper left. And so the lights, that way my brain locks in the fact that all my shadows are going to be on the right side of a wall. For example, all these walls here will the shadow, the darkest shadow will be on this side, on the right side, like this. And then the lighter shadows will be on the left sides. That will make it look like it makes sense as far as it being a wall and the light source coming from the upper left. And we can make this wall as tall as we want. Come down. And I just do wet, right up to wet. I just obviously staying in the idea of perspective. And that's okay if it just wiggles a little bit because it's stone, cut out of stone. If I was being all precise, I'd pencil draw the whole thing, and if they had to be perfect straight lines, but this doesn't have to be perfect straight lines. But this does give it that sense of contrast. And since we still are coming from the upper left back, I can go ahead and make this dark, and then I'm going to go ahead and outline all this anyway, so there'll be some more detailing. And you can see this, I don't know if you can see this or not, but let's bring it down. Adding black to these tan colors make them almost a greenish hue, but when they dry, they'll dry darker, and it doesn't matter. Sometimes you might want to add dark brown to a tan to make it a darker color versus adding black. But in my case, in this case, I wanted to use the black because I wanted to be more muted, a more muted shadow than like a brown shadow. That's because I preferred it for this one. And this is it. And then you just keep following the laws of perspective as best you can. Touch it up with the outlining detail later. Clean it all up. Okay, here's where I've just mixed a little bit of the base color with the shadow color to get an in-between color for my medium shadow, where it drops down here on the left side. So now I got my left side shadow. I'm just using my dirty brush from my dark shadow to accomplish this. I don't like stopping and cleaning brushes if I don't have to. And then that will create the idea of all the light coming from this direction. And I've got only a few walls like that. See, this one I kind of cut through, so I'm gonna paint right over you could paint right over the top of a fully wet section of the painting, and it should cover pretty good. And see, this will create a nice 3D look. And again, it's kind of following the perspective and also following that light source. So I'll just keep going on this. And here's a place where the medium shadow and the dark shadow interchange, because there's a curve here, so I just blend it in. Come in here and just snap, you can just blend it in. Then you have to look. You could add shadows on the rock too. Same idea, you're on the left side. You can come back around this way, it's fine. The idea is we're just creating a little bit more texture. Not getting too crazy, just a little more interest. Just imagination station at this point. Whatever you want. Just get it on there. It really doesn't have to be perfect or rhyme or reason sometimes, because kind of way rock is in nature. As long as you're kind of mindful of highlights and lowlights and where the light source is. Random tan color that's kind of it's got more of a red tone to it, because I'm gonna do some foreground features, some rock, dirt kind of thing. This is where I'm gonna get out the big gun and do a roller, and this will add. I really like dimension with these things. You know, the far away sky, far away mountains, and then a little bit closer things, and then really up close things. Really adds a lot of character and animation to the whole thing. Animation meaning like kind of like 3D. I guess that's what I mean. Not animation, 3D. So I'm just going to put some big boulders in here. This will dry darker and a different color, but I'm going to grab some of the same shadows, colors from this, just because it's available, easy, and I'm going to outline everything too. So if I wasn't going to outline anything, it was just going to be color for some reason, you know, just spot color, then I would have more contrast. But since this is going to be all outlined, I can get away with this, in my humble opinion. I'm just going to put some boulders here, and then you just taper it off like that. This will really add some really neat depth and dimension to the whole poster. And then I'll come back and I will I will do some more of the same low lights and highlights. Keep my job clean a little bit. And maybe I think I'll put a shovel in here, just like a foreground shovel as a feature. You don't have to get too crazy with a lot of different things because it's just a backdrop meant for other things that are going to be in front of this. This one I'm going to go ahead and just immediately put on my highs and lows. See how it just kind of blends in. It looks really good that way. It makes it even more three-dimensional. I'm not trying to be realistic with this, but it just does add, especially for the closer up shots like this, it just kind of adds a little more subtlety, gradient, 3D look. And I'm still thinking about my light source coming from the upper left corner. So it kind of blends in nice. All right, now for me, what is the most fun part of the whole project is the outlining. And so what I've done is I've put a little black in the purple mountains. So I came up with like just a darker version of it. I'd say maybe just a little less than 50% maybe so. Got a little flat watercolor brush. Not flat, more like a, yeah, it's not flat. I would call it more like a sable brush is what it is. And then it'll be a lot darker than this once it dries because it has the black in it. I like the black again because I want it to be muted. The idea of being a background. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just start. And also you gotta thin the paint almost to a 50% consistency so it flows real nice like this. Just some ins and outs, just have fun, just like the funnest part. It's kind of like doing a coloring book in reverse, where you lay down all the colors and then you outline it. So I'll just go ahead and do the whole top horizon line first, and I'll come back and do some detail work. Okay, now I've mixed up the base color with dark brown to get my outline color for all of the middle ground. So this is the absolute background other than the sky, but as far as outlining goes, that's the background. So now I want to put this, I'm going to put this in the range of about 75% to 80% darker with the dark brown. And then I'm going to use the straight dark brown for the rocks, which will be my foreground. And we want this to be darker than this shadow, obviously. Otherwise, it will compete for contrast. So, but you can make this as dark as you want. If you want to make it full cartoon style, you can go even black. And that would look good too. But I just kind of want this whole thing to be a soft, I don't want this whole poster to stand out, but I just want it to be a background. And this is where you get to do as much of this kind of stuff as you want. You put rocks anywhere you want. You can spend as much time as you want with doing this because you can just, this is where the detail comes in. And you can just do all these cracks and crevices, and you can put a little boulder in here like that, just off in the distance. It just keeps giving it more elements, gives it some more interest, things to look at. So I think I've reached my maximum as far as reaching over now, so I'm gonna move over. The sable's really great for doing thick and thins. You can use it as on edge to get thinner lines.